Somebody is having custom tones in here, as you can see in the chat. Alright, so civilizations seem to be sticking, just a switch from Rango into Gaia. So that's Gaia, Oranos, and Thor for the Mor0nZ, whereas GDMs are going for Isis, Zeus, and Ra. Greedo is not Dr. Troll. Greedo is somebody else. I couldn't really find any known nicks that would be different. So yeah, let's just suppose that it's really him. And it really seems to be so far in the season. And the first to have a look at is right now exactly him, as he is spawned on the bottom with his teammates Rango and Raido. So he's going for interesting spot for the dog, not really ideal as he's going into the pocket here together with his ally Rango as well. So that's not really ideal because they will be obviously stealing fish from each other. He definitely should have went a bit to the right, but he maybe did not notice that yellow was going here as well. And really this is this might be coming back to bite them, but let's see if that's going to be in any kind of substantial difference, as the first trees are being cast by the Gaia player, as he will be having a bit faster wood gathering at the very start. Otherwise, around the base, we see a bit of a piggies in here, the wild boars on the left, which is definitely going to help with the early food gathering, and he's sending absolutely everything into the offensive here, or offensive. Bit of an aggressive scouting from him, as he's not interested in scouting at the back, which will be basically covered by the yellow player. So that's a very nice team play and very nicely communicated by the Mor0nZ. They've already discovered first relic, which is for better hack damage and pierce damage for Atlantean units, so that's definitely something that the Mor0nZ will be taking advantage of, and he really thinks that he can somehow surprise his opponent. So let's see what this is going to be. Unfortunately for him, he's going to be against Bako, against the Isis, or rather the Ra. Well, it doesn't really matter. I was just going to say against Enegi, which is a bit of a problem, and well, that's interesting. So he maybe misplayed here a bit, but let's see if it's really going to be mattering all that much. Probably not. Another relic at the back, which is better hit points. Come on, don't steal it from me. Fantoxod's chariots, especially. Oh, this is pretty sweet because hit points for chariot archers for a Ra player is definitely very useful. As yeah, you know that Ras are going for quite a lot of chariot archers when they advance into the heroic, and that will be quite useful for him. Another relic is better, better caravan cost and speed. Well, that wouldn't be really half bad for the Aegis on the other side, so they definitely are lucky Mor0nZ that they are the ones in possession of this relic. So far, the position of the blue dog is very nice, as it's on the farthest reach into the water. Very nice positioning of the fishing spots in here as well. Whereas, let's switch into the other team. GDM Albinito, the Zeus player, is going to be the first one we have a look at. Decent position, not really bad, could have went a bit to the right, but really, seems like that he actually got a bit lucky, as he's having those 2-3 sums right next to the dock, so that's pretty nice for him. And as for his land strategy, he's going for piggies, so not any kind of waste of resources on granary or whatnot, which is pretty nice to see, and should allow him to advance pretty fast. DC placements, of course, quite close to the water, so this is putting another pressure on either of those teams winning it. Whereas in the pocket we have the Isis, and that could be a bit of a problem for Mor0nZ, because Isis in the pocket, if he plays this correctly, could be pretty deadly and very dangerous indeed. He's already going for a second dock, as he has finished with the first one already, of course, and he's moving in a pretty nice position, so he's going to be having a very effective economy, and also very effective defense against his opponents, as of course he will be having fodder into the docks for shooting very soon. He just needs to go a bit of a scouting in here, but we are nearing 3 minutes, so we should be probably advancing into the next age. You can see that El Greedo is continuing with a very aggressive scouting. Temple being dropped by the Ra player, and he's definitely thinking that he can do some kind of aggression on his opponent. He's going to see that food gathering from Bako is happening in here, but yeah, the board will be finished before those guys will be even valored, so really not that much of a difference. So Gaia Forest is being cast in here at the bottom, so that's the second one, I think. Yeah, second one. There's still going to be 2 left, and this seems like that we won't be seeing any kind of special strategy, just simply playing Gaia, as she is not half bad in the Wobbly Balance patch 104 and will be a pretty strong force with her economy. Usually, we have seen a play from Upsolas, I think, some 2 rounds ago, where 9 Racing Cat also went Gaia, but he went with actually giving one of those forests to his allies, which definitely helps, because it means faster gathering from the woods, even for your allies. So 64% into Freya for the blue player, whereas yellow is 47% into Oceanus. With the last one 56% into Prometheus, so that's pretty much standard times. With not really far behind Bako and Zara, whereas the Pocket Isis is slightly slower, and let's see if she will also engage in the classical water fight. I would kinda be thinking so, because obviously, especially right now with the Zeus advancing so fast, faster than everybody else, they will be in a pretty good position, and it could really be working quite well for them. It would be a bit of a surprise if there's actually a hill, or rather an island in the middle, which could definitely be used by some kind of Egi to build docks and defensive position, and of course, quite effective food gathering at the very early stage of the game. But with switching into Ptah, let's see if we're going to have some shift in sense. Well, Pedrut's Oracle is actually waiting here, so maybe that's something that they are thinking about. But so far he's not moving in, so, well, not really sure about that all that much. I'm now getting extra range. We go for a bit of a fight with the tower, whereas at the back we see that Rango is moving with Oracles into interesting position, and he might be encountering the Sphinx. Is definitely not going to help him all that much, but let's have a look on the water, where we see some first battles on the left between blue player and the teal. Albinito so far doing a pretty good job against those longboats of his opponent, Thor. And he's also going for a bit of a land offensive here, or offensive. That's just a bit of a radiant with the 3 units, and they won't be really all that successful. As looking at Raido, he's quite ready for that with those Hersiers together with Ulfsarks. So nicely played, a bit of a scouting with Kataskopos if he can find some villagers, but so far not. Whereas on the right side, the battle is brewing, and here you can see that everybody is properly engaged in the feudal battle. Oh, feudal battle. That's in the Age of Empires, and right now this is classical age for Age of Mythology, of course. So interesting battle, with of course right now being cast Carnivora, which is definitely a pretty nicely cast, as it will draw a lot of fire from the docks, and of course it leads to big problems as those boats from GDMs are fighting against the boat, against the Carnivora, and not against the boats, which is, yeah, exactly what is right now helping them quite nicely. Fortunately though for Mor0nZ, it's very nicely played budget, helped quite a lot, and well, Galadria is actually making is being used here as she is healing the boats and also some kind of false target potentially, but so far she hasn't been targeted at all. Let's see what is going on with Raiden in here, with this guy just under the tower. Yeah, darkness under the candle holder, just like that. And we also see on the right on the minimap a bit of a green blobs. And here. They have just run. Okay, so this was just a bit of piggies and not anything else. Yeah, those 3 oracles just waiting here if they can find something to kill. So far not really lucky in there, whereas on the water battle it seems to be going for Mor0nZ slowly but surely. Even though there's quite a lot of extra fire from the dog, but looking how it's been actually reduced in the Google Plans patch, it's not going to be all that decisive in here. Just the sheer numbers are winning. On the left though, Albinito is doing a pretty good job against his opponent Raido, but Raido seems to be taking this quite strategically, as he almost seems like that he's joining on the right, but no, he's returning back to the left, and he's basically trying to outmaneuver his opponent and maybe force him into a restoration, but I kinda think that that's not something that they want, GDMs, as they should be using restoration on, possibly on the double on the right, or literally somewhere else. But at the same time it seems like that Mor0nZ have basically cleansed the water. There's not much else going on from the purple player, who is having just some fishing boats, not even a building extras. Pedrut also kinda quitting on the water battle in here, and since they are having just 2 docks, they don't really think that they should be fighting from the water all that much, and yep, this seems to be pretty much it. So Rango right now controlling the battle with 2 TCs already, going for a 3rd, just like that. Well, he's Gaia, of course, so he's going to be having some economy. Whereas on the left, Raido is basically waiting for Albinito to come into proper encounter. It's a bit of a fight here on the land, where Raido is unfortunately losing some units, kinda needlessly to the boats, but look at how the water battle on the right is basically won. This is going to result in maybe even a 3 versus 1 on the left, and yeah, there's not anything that Albinito could be doing against that, even with his restoration. Restoration could be helping withstand the early pressure at least a bit, but not really all that much. Oh, that's super unoptimal. Hersier actually fighting Jason instead of the Minotaur, but well, Blue was much more interested in the water battle hit here in those boats, and coordinating with his yellow teammate, and it should be resulting in pretty much liquidation of all those boats from Albinito, and I'm kinda hoping for him, for his sake, that he doesn't waste restoration in here, because it's really not going to make any kind of difference at all. So let's see if he's going to use it or not. as at this point there's pretty much no point for GDMs to fight for it. They should be just going for pretty much full-on land battle, and well, this is very nicely played Carnivora yet again, just in the middle of the opponent's boasts, which led to them being actually slowed a bit, resulted of course in some extra damage from Mor0nZ in turn. Second TC being captured by Raido, and is he actually going for a threat as well? Well, not really, because it's kind of far away from him, whereas his opponent Albinito has already captured his forefront, so he might be in a position to actually control the front of Raido, and that might be not ideal, but let's see if he can make something happen with it. Paco is already at 2 TCs. You can see that Pedrut is catching up with the third as well, whereas on the right side, the water presence of purple player is right now totally eliminated, but well, with the TCs in the bot range, this could really become a problem once they advance into the heroic ages and much more in the mythical ages, as in there usually you see some sea chips. On the right, Algrido seems to be at the same side as Rango, so they will be going for a bit of a double on their opponent Ra, who is going for quite a lot of farms. A bit of a random placement, but yeah, it doesn't really matter to me at least. And he's already having a very nice armory, so he will be probably attempting to advance into the next age sometime soon, using Rain probably after this prosperity from the red player. He's also going to advance into the next age, as he's having armory and quite a lot of willies on the gold, absolutely everywhere. So let's see if that's going to be enough. On the left though, Raido has recognized that he needs to kind of move forward if he wants to secure his front TC. Cannot really let it fall to enemy's hands, and this is very nicely played from Albinito. So he's protecting his TC so that there's a limited space where the units from his opponent could potentially be attacking it, which means it's super hard to take it out without any kind of siege. So nicely played by Albinito to contain the situation on the left. Whereas on the right, this seems to be developing in pretty much expected way, and that's capturing the front TC of El Grido and making sure that it's safe for him for the taking when he has enough resources. He's also having a pretty decent army, kinda interesting that he isn't going for some kind of raiding at least, especially during such critical moment like rain, because obviously if he can deny some kind of farm gathering in here, it would go a long way to stopping their opponent's strength, but well, that's not happening, whereas on the left, it seemed like that Raido, after finishing the TC, was having a bit of a fun, or at least a look at the TC, how's it going to look. Of course, on the water we see right now that R decided in here, and there's not going to be any kind of coming back for GDMs, even though they might be interested in trying it, but I wouldn't expect it to work all that much. 5% into Neftis, whereas we have Hathor in here for Ra in 50%. Yeah, but he still does have some gold. Well, not really all that much. He's having one gold mine in here. Not anything interesting at the back. There's a bit of a battle on the left, so let's have a look at that. This might actually not be the worst idea to cast Ancestors just about here, because Albinito is in a pretty good position that he could be just killing all the army from Raido and even taking the TC down with those Ancestors, and that would really be working for him, but well, would it make sense in the longer term? Not really sure, as you can see that Rango is preparing on the left as well, so that he is exactly where he's needed. So your restoration used, not half bad. Not half bad, but looking at how Raido is actually playing this very nicely, hiding some units inside the TC and returning into the battle from the other side. This is very nicely played, and Raido is definitely thinking that he can contain this situation very easily. Probably not having any kind of upgrades, of course, and here we finally go with the Ancestors. They could have been cast a bit earlier, as they would have made quite a lot of difference in the moment there. And well, unfortunately for for the red player and the teal as well, yellow is having enough resources for the heroes of 4 Archai, and well, this is going to be it for those minions very soon indeed. Nicely played right now by Raido in here, hiding all those units inside the TC and depositing them outside. That's a very neat play indeed. This is saving quite a lot of damage, and of course dealing quite a lot of extra damage from the TC into the units of his opponent, Albinito, and also Pedrut. And well, those guys were interested in taking out the TC, but unfortunately they saw that it's not going to as fast as they would have hoped, which means that they are right now just going for proper units. So this didn't really lead to anything important, with Rango right now switching into Hekate as well. That's a pretty fast jump into Mythic at 13 minutes. And does he have some proper line of sight into his opponents? Not really. Just see a bit of a markets being built on the right, where Purple is trying to develop with his gold and should be building Migdol about here, because he really needs this gold and he cannot let it fall into enemies' hands, like about here. Well, it almost seems like that Green was actually interested in this TC, but it was stolen from him by greedy Rango. Well, Greedo, somebody is more greedy than you in this game actually. And well, he will be having to do with just 2 TC, or rather 3 TCs, and the fourth, which was the front from Bako, will be falling into Rango. On the left though, we see that Petrut is making some kind of appearance in here, and he will be interested in a double on the left, which with the Zeus, which is not a bad idea, because on the right, I kind of think that Rush should be able to hold against 2 with proper use of mercenaries and proper economy. But look at how he's just now developing into market, it might be just a bit too late for him to hold on if Yellow is having enough army in there. Because obviously Algirod by himself shouldn't be able to deal with him. Target cast at the very back, and very nice positioning as it's next to the TC, and there's a lot of villages on the gold and also on the farms and woodline. So very nicely played indeed, and it will definitely be a bit of a problem for his opponent, GDM Albinito. Doesn't have any units in here at all, just few priests from the Pedrut. And they are actually in range of those food gatherers as well, so that's a pretty big problem for Albinito, and actually much worse than we could have anticipated at the very start. Okay, this seems to be developing quite nicely for GDM so far, because Pedrut is right now getting into the sweet spot with all those chariot archers and whatnot, so they will be definitely a very strong unit against all those throwing axemen. But looking at the amount of archive, with no upgrades yet, but we are very close early into the game, and looking at those very nice upgrades right now from Raido, well, this will be a pretty good position for him to defend together with his ally and maybe go into an attack. What's also interesting to notice is that on the right, Pedrut has just lost a TC to those siege boats, of course, so that's going to be happening. And Pedrut is reacting with a dock of his own, but he should be building it somewhere more safe, as obviously this is not going to be safe all that much. There's going to be a bit of abuse of the water in here on the TC of Albinito very soon as well, as obviously the water range too. So let's see if somehow GDMs can be fast enough on the left. Well, so far, Albinito should be thinking about advancing into the next age, because he's fighting, well, as a Greek, as a Zeus, he can be fighting in classical age for quite some time, but once the players are in mythical age, which of course Rango already is, well, that's a bit of a problem, and yeah, it really piles up, and if you don't have the advantage of the upgrades as your opponent does, well, it obviously leads to some pretty clear moments. On the right now, Bako is fighting quite nicely with El Grido. With El Grido not really having all that much of an upper hand, but looking at the very nice composition of army, those Turmas together with destroyers are exactly the correct ones against all those chariots, and chariots are usually the backbone of Ara's army. This is a bit of a problem. Benito has lost yet another TC, yeah, this was through siege ships in here, and he will be fighting an uphill battle together with Pedrut, as they are fighting 4 TCs against, let's say, 3.5 or 4.5, because 3 from Raido and half from Rango. Be half thinking about going right, and especially since he's having a bit of a boat, but he seems to be concentrating on the left, as on the right, Bako and El Grido are having a very equal fight between them. So we see Son of Osiris on the right side being cast as well by Bako to help him, as he's in the mythical age. With the battle going so far okayishly, but well, those priests will be definitely a problem for those piggies. So pretty nice defense on the left, whereas on the right, with the switch to Son of Osiris, this could be developing into some kind of offensive, as even though Bako is not having enough army, Son of Osiris is going to make quite a lot of difference, and not even this is good enough for El Grido. But I'm really curious why Bako is actually making quite a lot of extra Migdols. He should be especially trying to secure this gold and trying to protect the market on the right. This is definitely very open, and yeah, maybe not even El Grido is realizing that he could be just going there and wrecking the economy of their opponents very easily. Bit of a fire into the Son of Osiris, but it wasn't really enough from those Turmas, as he was just wrecking everybody, and it should be a pretty good moment exactly for the Migdol about here, which would definitely help him quite a lot. Yeah, this rock from right is not doing all that much, whereas on the left we see the battle exactly where we left it, and I kind of think that Pedrut is recognizing the situation and playing it quite correctly, building extra watchtowers, and this will definitely help in the defense. We have also seen that Albinito has advanced into Heroic Cage through Underworld Passage, so he might be having some kind of chance to potentially stop Titans from his opponents. I don't really think it's going to be used for anything else. And well, this could be a bit of a problem because the improved fire siphons from the balance patch are definitely doing their job, and they seem to be quite enough, especially this one. It kinda seems like that actually the Migdol is shooting at it, which is definitely not doing any substantial damage. Looking at the 95% Pierce armor, alright, this is actually hack, which is, now it is Pierce, it is Pierce. Okay, 95% Pierce, which means that the Migdol is right now down, and since Pedroth is not fast enough with building the towers, and he right now doesn't have any military buildings here at all, he will be in a pretty tough situation, especially right now Albinito, because he won't be receiving any kind of help, and yeah. Fortunately, the combination of Archive together with the throwing Axeman is exactly the correct one against the siege towers, as they will be receiving a lot of hack damage from the blue guys. On the right though, we seem to be having still a pretty equal battle, with Paco trying to build few towers exactly as Pedroth on the left. But with the support of the Son of Osiris, he could actually be doing a pretty good job. Let's have a look at some upgrades. Green is having a bronze, copper, not bad. Whereas purple is having, oh, bronze, mail and copper. That's not bad either. So that's a pretty decent battle in here. And even though Greedo is having one extra TC, he's still not doing as good as he could have. And well, very nicely played so far by Bako, but he needs to be careful about this gold, because once it runs out, and since he doesn't have protected market at all, it's quite a short game for him after that. So nice attempt in here to control the situation. Let's see if it's going to work. Whereas on the left it seems like that GDMs are losing grounds, as this attack from Rhino together with Rango is pretty strong, and there's not much that Albinito can do just by himself. You can see that Pedroth is just now finishing with the TC, or rather with the Migdol, and TC is right now being stolen by Rango, and he will be at 5. He will be at 5 TCs. Well, yeah, not really good times coming for the GDMs, but Albinito's advancing into Mythical Age, which could still be making quite some difference if he actually can research Forge of Falling fast enough. You can see that Pedroth is very nicely working on defending the army, or rather economy of his ally. That's very nicely played, but really, as long, or rather the longer the Mor0nZ have the advantage of the extra TCs, the more it's going to stack, and the more advantage overall they will be having in the game. But this still TC is still denied, as unfortunately Red isn't so far able to get rid of those boats. He's attempting, but not so successfully. Fortunately for him, there was also a bit of an attempt at dog by Albinito, but yet again, it wasn't enough. And right, Purple is seeming to do a pretty good job, as he has probably made sure that this position, and especially this goal, is going to be his with all those towers. But he could definitely be building a bit more Migdols, and he definitely needs to be careful about the yellow player, who is developing on his side as well, and is attempting to build some kind of beachhead, and maybe go for a bit of destroyers to surprise his opponent right inside his TC, inside his main TCs. So, finally some mercenaries coming in from him. That's a pretty much standard play. TC being finished. And Bowler coming in from Rhino. Okay, so that we might be seeing Ragnarok very soon, and that could be the last nail in the coffin, because as you can see, there's not many upgrades for Albinito, who is still forced to battle in a pretty tough situation. Yellow is having decent upgrades, almost all of them, and here we saw, yeah, very nice Vortex, and Ragnarok has been cast as well, and this will be pretty deadly, because on the right there was not really anything that Hero could be doing against his opponent, as Dra has been nicely stabilizing, whereas if he switches to the left, and Heroes of Ragnarok will be following in here too. Well, this is going to be quite tough triple on the left, and not anything that GDMs will be able to withstand. But also it gives an opportunity on the right side to back off, to maybe push forward and maybe even steal the TC back. So let's see if that will be working. This battle is kinda interesting, but not going anywhere substantially, but we are aiming with the extra guys in there as well, and soon we will be in a pretty good battle. So nice trade in right now by all those Contarius, yeah, Contari, so they are doing a pretty good job. And let's see if they can take down some extra TCs. They could potentially from Bako in here. He has just now getting extra masonry, and he will be having some mercenaries out of this TC, as he has noticed exactly what is happening. But that wouldn't really be enough. As you can see, the Kontari are having pretty huge attack, and they will be taking down the TC without too much problem in just a matter of seconds. Whereas at the bottom, there is some kind of attempt by Bako to go for it, but not really anything substantial. Whereas on the left, Heroes of Ragnarok are in pretty great numbers, and they will be very dangerous, especially with shifting sense. Okay, with flaming weapons without any kind of ceasefire to stop that. Well, this is just waiting for the inevitable to happen. Blues upgrades full. Okay, and that's exactly how you should be going for Ragnarok. And well, he is doing a damn good job. But pretty nice upgrades also for the GDM Albinito already. But looking how he will be fighting with just 2 TCs without any substantial help by Pedrut. Could be quite tough, but all those towers could be helping in the end. Raiding of the camels here, so it's going pretty nicely. Quite nicely, and this could result very soon into some kind of lack of gold for either Bako or Pedrut, and that will be a pretty tough situation for them. Bako has lost the 45 TC in the middle to those Heroes of Ragnarok, of course, and right now Raido is going for flaming weapons as he recognizes that he needs to delete the army of his opponent, which is going to happen quite easily on the right and also on the left, where he is engaged as well by a lot of priests, a lot of towers, but let's see if it is going to be enough. I'm half thinking that it could be, that on the left he shouldn't be really winning the fight, even with the reinforcements, because the towers are really going to be a bit too much. Whereas on the right though, it's going to be quite tough for him to do anything, because obviously, yeah, the green is right now returning in here, and he will be interested in killing all the bases of his opponent. So yeah, purple is just at 1 TC at the very back, as he has lost quite a lot in the middle in here. And even though red has advanced into the mythical age, it's probably not going to be making all that much of a difference. Kontara is still making quite a lot of damage, or doing quite a lot of damage into this trade route, basically killing it whole. Pedrut losing yet another TC at the very back to yet another army of very nicely positioned Heroes of Ragnarok. And yeah, this is a pretty tough situation. As you can see, GDMs are right now at 1-1-2, whereas Mor0nZ are at 3-3-5, so very nicely played, and damn well coordinated by Mor0nZ. So right now they are at the TC of Albinito, who is desperately trying to research architects, which might be successful, so it will buy him extra time, but unfortunately for him, it's not going to matter as he is resigning, as he's recognized that this battle is not going to be turned around, and yet GG, and actually very nice game in here, and quite tough for Mor0nZ to win. Nicely played. Nicely played. So let's have a look at the post game. Rango as the MVP, well, as a Gaia pocket, you do have a pretty good chance to have a nice score. Because of the economy, of course, but he was also building quite a lot of archive, so he was having a very nice ratio of military count and units killed. Well, GG.